Loop makes that field goal. Is John Harbaugh still here coaching this team?
For a week.
For a week. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Steve, not up in here. Not up in here. All right. What's going on, LBHT crew? First of all, Coach, I appreciate you. He's the first one in here. As soon as I put this out, he's like, I'm ready to go. Let's go.
What's up, Coach?
We just had a lot of fun over on the Ravens Roundup. If you missed it, go check it out. Sip 2 Tally Films. All right. Look, we actually, that clip that I put right there, we talked about that on the show. There's a lot just from that you can unpack. There's a lot that you can unpack from that. First of all, that's the decisiveness in his response and him saying, yeah, he might be coaching for another week. That means he was done with John Harbaugh. That's one. Two, and I wonder how many of y'all caught this. He didn't believe they were going to go past the first round.
Yeah. And they probably wouldn't have.
They probably wouldn't have. You guys saw what he did the Steelers. And I said it. I said after we gave up that late touchdown in the fourth quarter, I was like, man, I don't know if I want us to play Houston next week. Right? And now you see why.
Yeah.
They went off on the Steelers.
Yeah, they did.
Right.
It got ugly.
Yeah. What's going on, chat? Let's see who else is in here. Dre the General X salute says Ravens owner is a cool mofo. Hey, he was cool today. SV Cam salute. What's going on? Killer Cam's in the house says Hola Jose and mucho gusto Brodny.
Nice to meet you, Cam.
Jonathan Washington Jr. salute. Appreciate you coming through. Says what's up, fellas? What's up with you? Our guy Suge is in the house. That it's not Wednesday. It's not Wednesday, but we giving you some extra content. I can't believe I didn't start the show with this. Thank you, Hendo. Hendo from the Robot says congratulations on hitting 3K. Yes,
thank you.
You hit 3,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. We really, really appreciate it. We hit 3,000. That's probably the fastest we hit. A milestone.
And a new logo for Hendo there. Let's see.
Yeah, he's got a new logo. So yeah, really appreciate it. Keep supporting. We're really trying to push to get 5,000 this calendar year. Okay, that's our goal. I know we can reach it. If we hit 5K, we might have another little celebration like we did at 1K. All right, just putting that out there.
Shit's funny. He's saying they didn't go off on the Steelers. He's saying it was a 1-point game going into the fourth quarter.
What's the final score?
Yeah, then what happened, Chug?
You play 4 quarters, not 3 quarters, not 3.5 quarters. You play 4 quarters. Okay. They put BTA as them young folks say. All right. And you can say whatever. You guys had 3 turnovers. You forced 3 turnovers, and you still got the doors blown off of you. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. You had to play all 4 quarters. You did not. You got blown out. Yeah. Did Aaron Rodgers finish the game, or did the backup finish the game?
It was the backup.
Did the starting defense finish the game, or did the back? And let me tell you something. Their backups, they can hit too.
Mm-hmm.
They can hit too. That's what I didn't want to see happen to the Ravens. Thank you, Jared. Says congrats. Thank you, Coach. Say congrats. Appreciate it. Christopher says congrats. Thank you. Just Alice, salute. What's going on? Appreciate all y'all coming through. Praveen says Mike Tomlin as new Ravens head coach. I don't know if he's going back into coaching or if he's going to take some time off. I don't know.
And Roy Bisciotti said no.
He didn't say no.
He said only if John coaches Pittsburgh.
He said holy S before that. He's like, think about that. I think if Tomlin really showed some interest, they would absolutely talk to him. Thank you, Big Reg. Appreciate that. Appreciate the love. Rome MVP says if Houston was going to fumble 5 times, I'm sure our offense would have done more with the extra possessions. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sure Lamar would have loved to try to, but that offensive line, I don't know.
Again, they weren't beating us all game. Ravens fans wouldn't know that because they never finished the game. Sure, you didn't finish the game. You talk about it was a 1-point game going into the fourth. It was 7-6, then it was 10-6, then it was 17-6, then it was 24-6, then it was 36. Where were y'all in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I didn't. Well, yeah, they were beating you all game. Like at the very beginning, you were up 3-0, right? But I didn't say they were beating you all game. I didn't say that. I said you got blown up. That's a fact. All right, yeah, but I mean, whatever makes you feel better. You know what? It was really close. It just fell off.
Yeah. You know. Yeah, I know. If you had just completed that 125-point pass, you would have had it.
Danny D, what's going on? Danny D says, welcome to the stream. Everyone, please congratulate the guys on reaching their goal of 3K subscribers. Yes, thank you. Hit the like and subscribe button. # road to 4K. Yes, this train is not stopping. We really appreciate the support. Keep on telling your friends, family, and loved ones about the show. All right. Jared says, there are 32 people and only 13 likes. Please hit the like button. Yes. 36 now.
Thank you.
Yes, hit that like button. Appreciate y'all coming through. All right. So there's a lot to break down from this, and we'll be breaking this down for a while. We're going, we'll talk about this in the morning as well with Hendo. But pay the bills. What's going on? He said, hell, complete a 6-point pass. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hey, listen. They beat us to get there. They made it farther than us. So congratulations. I said this morning too, Sugar. I'm not sure if you saw it. Congratulations to the Steelers for another winning season. Right? 19 years? 19 straight winning seasons.
Well, I mean, that's with Tomlin. I'm not sure how many they had going into that. I don't think they had a losing season.
They didn't have they didn't. But that's a great feat within itself. And they got blown out. They still made it. We didn't make it. So, congratulations there. Mike Tomlin stepping down. That's something we'll cover more tomorrow in the morning show and on the main show on the LBHT show. So make sure you turn your notification bells on. We'll talk about she said we buy our subscribers, the new Galaxy Geeks. Shout out to the Galaxy Geeks, our friends.
The last losing season was 2003.
Okay.
You hire John Harbaugh, he'll break that record for you real quick. That'll be a brand new experience for Steelers fans.
Right.
Starting out 7-10 next year.
Especially if you bring back Aaron Rodgers. How about how come my quarterback isn't running? What's wrong with him?
Aaron ain't coming back. Aaron has had enough.
All right. So Steve Bisciotti and Eric Costa had a press conference today, and Steve Bisciotti was very candid. There's a couple of things I think he was kind of BSing with, but for the most part, he didn't really have a filter. And some of the things that stood out to me were just the process, his thought process when firing Harbaugh. They asked him if he talked to Lamar. He said he talked to Lamar, not necessarily about firing Harbaugh, but Lamar, just the season in general. And Lamar told him, "Hey, I don't know where all this comes from about me not liking Harbaugh, me not liking Todd Monken. I get along with them just fine." Mm-hmm. Right. He also said that he said something that's kind of been confirmed by other people that said it, that he's not a confrontational person, talking about Lamar Jackson. So he was never going to throw his coaches under the bus. Mm-hmm. Right. So to me, I feel like Steve Bisciotti probably asked him, what do you think about John this year? And he wasn't going to say anything bad about John Harbaugh, but also he recognized that things just weren't working out. There's a few things I feel like they talked about, and Steve Bisciotti kind of let it out during the press conference in different parts of the press conference. He talked about the season. He talked about John Harbaugh. He talked about his contract. And I think all these things factored into Harbaugh getting fired, because they mentioned a couple times Lamar's contract and how important it is to get him signed. And that's something that we talked about on this show, that leverage that he has, because while they said there are some ways they could lower the cap, one of them was adding a lot of void years to his contract. That's something that they really did not want to do. You know, the best course of action is just to get them on a new contract to lower that, to lower that cap hit and give them more cap space. And they really emphasized that. And Steve Bisciotti said they discussed that on the phone, and he seems more amicable about doing that. So, yeah, I think that was definitely a major factor in that decision. And plus, I think Steve Bisciotti was kind of leaning towards firing him earlier in the season, because he said this thought process started weeks ago, and he said about 3 weeks ago. I think it started Thanksgiving night when we lost to Cincinnati, because at that point we're on a win streak. We win that game and we keep winning. All that stuff in the beginning is kind of forgotten, right? Now we're hot. Now we have sole control of the division, and we can kind of look past that stuff. But just getting beat at home like that on prime time on Thanksgiving, I think that's where he really started to sour on Harbaugh.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I would think it would have started at 1-5, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, for me, it would have started years ago. But
yes.
my thing is, I saw him with some of the quotes there, and I think that I will give him credit. I think he put on a great show for the fans. I don't buy his attitude about Harbaugh. And, he's mirroring the fans' energy, right? Because fans have been frustrated all year. Fans have been frustrated, some fans for a couple of years, and wanting Harbaugh gone, wanting a lot of change. And he hasn't talked to the media in a very long time, and fans have been upset about that. Fans have been calling him out, saying he doesn't care about winning. All he cares about is the money. And so I think he came out and he put on a little performance to say, no, I'm one of you, right? Because he also said at one point that he didn't like all the criticism that John Harbaugh was getting from fans.
Yes.
Right? Now, why would you say that and then throw out the for a week line in your own press conference, right? Because it's a tonal shift, right? Because you're disrespecting John by saying that, essentially. You're saying it doesn't matter what he did, he wasn't going to be here. I was sick of him. I was about to fire him.
I think that's where he was BSing on that comment, because somebody asked him, like, how much did that outside noise essentially affected his decision. He said, that has no effect. But then he said, I do hear that stuff, and it does, piss me off when I hear that about my friend, And right. he said some nonsense about, oh well, when I fired him, that's one of the things I thought about, like, oh well, now he doesn't have to hear that anymore. He's getting another job. He's going to hear that, especially in New York, if he goes to New York.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we know that they're friends. They're good friends, right? They're very close. I mean, obviously, he's been working for him for 18 years. So, the attitude of the press conference was kind of I'm tired of this dude. He ain't doing his job. I got him up out of here. And at least parts of it, and I don't buy it. Like especially the for a week thing, right? I don't buy for a single second that you were going to fire your friend if he made the playoffs. If they beat Pittsburgh and they went to the playoffs, you were not going to fire him.
I think I'm telling you, man. I got that feeling from early on that there was a shift, especially in John Harbaugh's attitude, that they had a conversation earlier in the season, and I think it really was Super Bowl or bust. Like, you listen to Bisciotti, and they even asked about his expectations for the new head coach. There are expectations to win Super Bowls, and yes, Harbaugh's been here for a long time, and it's a lot of things that factored in. Fan reaction, players' reaction. He talked to a lot of players, and just losing the locker room doesn't matter who if you like somebody or not. Like, that's it, right? Like, hey, I can't do anything about that. They're not listening to you, and it's showing on the field. That's the final straw. But he definitely was frustrated about the season.
Yeah,
and
I'm sure.
and Harbaugh losing the locker room, and he also threw some shots at Steve Bisciotti because
Costa.
DaCosta. I'm sorry, Eric DaCosta. He threw some shots at Eric DaCosta because they asked DaCosta about some of the things that went wrong, like who holds the blame. DaCosta gave that. Oh well, some players gotta be held accountable, coaches gotta be held accountable, front office I gotta take some blame. Everybody holds takes some blame, and we all gotta look at ourselves. And then he kind of just cut in and said, coaches, right? He said no, coaches are to blame. There's a lot of players that didn't develop that should have taken that next step, and you gotta put that on coaches. And in particular, he pointed out the offensive line. We got a super chat from Pay the Bills. Salute Pay the Bills says, I hope Harbs responds tomorrow morning while working out in his driveway. Shout out to TL.
That'd be pretty funny. But he absolutely, he was frustrated, but that's because the season went the way that it went. I'm 100% sure that if Tyler Hoop makes that kick, they go to the playoffs. He gets the playoff revenue. They go from 1-5, turn around and win the division, and that's the narrative. He's fine. I don't believe that he would have come out and and had this kind of energy after a playoff visit, right? Like I said, I think that he's just kind of mirroring fans' thoughts to and from what I see on social media, it's working. He's mirroring that energy to kind of bring fans over to his side because he'd lost fans. Fans were turning on him over the last couple of years because of the complacency of the organization.
But no, I don't agree 100% what you're saying. I don't think if we lost the way the Steelers lost to Houston at home, no, he's fine.
Well, I don't think you would have lost the way the Steelers lost. I mean, they didn't score a touchdown in 2 of their last 3 games.
I mean, we already lost to them once. I mean, granted, Lamar wasn't playing in the game, but
I'm saying the Steelers, they didn't score a touchdown in 2 of their last 3 games. Cleveland and Houston both held them to just field goals. They set a record. Houston did. They were the first team, I think, ever to have a punt return, or not a punt return, a fumble return and an interception return for a touchdown in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. Like it was an ugly loss. But I don't think that 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, we all said, hey, man, this guy doesn't really care, right? Because they've gone to the playoffs. They've embarrassed themselves multiple times, right? And nothing changed. They started out the season 1-5. Nothing changed. He didn't just wake up and realize that these players aren't developing, right? That's been happening the whole time. He was fine with it. He's not fine with it now because, okay, well, fans are getting really angry. Okay, we missed the playoffs. We're not able to just coast along anymore. And I'm gonna go ahead and make this change, and I'm gonna act like I'm real angry at John, and I'm gonna kind of put it all on him and his staff, and kind of circle the wagons with the fan base.
See, I didn't get that, and he didn't really say like he said it like a lot of. It wasn't just on John Harbaugh, right? Like, and he said a lot of great things about Harbaugh, right? Like, he didn't really say, oh, like he did this and that wrong. But no, it's like we talked about before, right? They were all complacent. And for Bisciotti, as long as they were close, like, yes, if they lose in an AFC championship game, it's not going to be changes made because then he could say, we're close. But although I think this year there'd have been a more serious discussion about it, right? Because you can only do that so many times before no matter who it is, the owner gonna be like, all right, man, like, come on. But yes, 1-5. Yes, we all are thinking that should have been in time for a change. But like even you said it at the time, even when Ravens fans weren't saying it, y'all can make a run. The schedule's soft. Y'all can make a run. We did, and I'm sure Bisciotti looked at that, and we were making a run. Will we win 4 in a row? 5, 4, I think like 4
or 5,
4 in a row, and it was looking like we could really just run the table and establish ourselves again. And that Thursday, that Thanksgiving night game really changed things. I think that's where Steve Bisciotti was like, all right, no, I don't see it. Because he said, it started about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Around that time frame, I think that's when he was looking at it like, nah, this ain't it. But yes, you can lie to yourself and say, we're close to doing the right things if we're going deeper into a playoffs. But if we get bounced in the first round at home the way the Steelers did, that's not enough for him to keep his job.
Well, no, yeah, we say that, but that's happened to them before, right? And again, the implication that of his quote was he was going to be the coach for one more week, right? Regardless, like he essentially he's saying, yeah, we weren't going to win. I was about to fire him, and like that. I don't believe that. If they get into the playoffs and they play a good game against Houston, I don't think he's gone. Yeah, I don't buy it.
Well, we disagree on that.
I think it's a billionaire coming out, doing a little dancing show for the fans, and that's really all it is. Because he also went in and was praising Eric Costa quite a bit, and I don't think that like I said, I think he's circling the wagons around who's still there and saying, hey, I know y'all are mad. We got rid of the problems. We're all really good at our jobs.
No, I don't.
Things are going to be good going forward.
I don't agree with that. I think he's not going to just flat out say Eric DeCosta is not doing a good job here, and yes, he's on the hot seat too. No, of course he's not going to say that. But
no, but you don't have to say he's hitting on 80% of his picks, and I think he's doing a great job.
But read it between the lines, right? When he's saying, "Hey, players aren't developing," that's on Eric DeCosta, right?
No,
and even
Eric doesn't develop players.
No, but he picks them, and they're not developing. And he mentioned and he did mention some of his failures, right? He kind of just threw that in there. But I think the biggest tell there was coming from Eric DeCosta's mouth, saying how he just needs to hit on this one, and he talked about how he needs Lamar Jackson to get this contract done so he can make a big splash in free agency. And listen, they've never talked about making a big splash in free agency before, right? They've always been fiscally conservative. This year, he's talking about making a big splash. That is him saying, yeah, there's a sense of urgency here. My job ain't safe.
Right. And I don't believe it is, but that's what I'm saying. But that's not the message that the owner sent. The message that the owner sent was he's the best GM in the league. He's doing a fantastic job. I'm very happy with Eric. I don't believe that's true either. I'm saying that the message that they're putting out is we got rid of the problem. We're good, and y'all should be happy. And I think right now Ravens fans are, and they're going to go out and they're going to make their hire, and then we'll see how it goes. We did get a super chat from Josh. Thank you very much,
Josh.
Anyone noticed how he said Harb's proposing changing coordinaters was a precipitating issues, not keeping them the same? That was new.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we've been saying this for a while. We've been saying this. Harbaugh, EDC, even Ozzie, they all got lazy. Lamar made their job easy, and they're like, hey, as long as we keep making the playoff run, we can keep running it back. Everybody going to eat. Steve Bisciotti is pretty hands off, and he's going to be fine. The minute Lamar's like, I ain't gonna hold y'all up anymore. That's when that's when Steve Bisciotti starts calling them on Zoom a little bit more. There's more teams meetings. You know what I'm saying? That's when that's when he's like, what's going on? Well, this team doesn't look the same. And that's when he starts getting more involved. And he's like, listen, man, what's going on for next year? This year didn't go well. What's going on? And he's like, let's run it back. Just run it back with the same people. All right, man. You got to go. That's it. Right. That's what happened. We got another super chat. Trucker T Will. Trucker T Will Crypto.sports. Appreciate that. Says the real problem is that if Lamar doesn't re-sign with the team, he sells the franchise. They don't want to lose him to a trade. Lamar got he got them by the balls. He do. And you know what? It worked, right? I think Lamar, I'm pretty sure all these things are factored into it. I'm pretty sure he asked him, like, hey, what's it going to take, what's it going to take to get this deal done? And he said, I don't know, what you doing with John next year? And he said, say less. Yeah. I'll call you back. And they've been talking to Lamar too. That's the thing. They've been talking to Lamar the whole time. EDC said after every interview of the coaches they've had so far, he's called Lamar about it afterwards. Mm-hmm. And And Steve Bisciotti also said that he's encouraging Lamar to come up to, for these interviews and be a part of this interview process for these coaches. So they are looking at Lamar as being here for the long term, and I think Lamar is going to be here for the long term, right? They showed that, okay, hey, I think more than us, they had to show it to Lamar like we took care of the problem. You took care of the problem. Now you can sign here, and we want you to be a part of the coaching process. And it is important to get his input, right? And Bisciotti's right about that. Like he can't hold a power in that. He can't have the final say. But his input is important.
Yeah.
100 people in here. That's what I'm talking about. Hit that like button. If you're new in here, hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for getting us to 3,000 subscribers. Now let's get us to 4K. Okay, we can do that.
He said he would be a well sought out GM, not the best. No, he said he's one of the best GMs in the league, and that he's batting 800 on his draft picks, which is ludicrous.
No. That's not the whole quote. That's not the whole quote. He said I'm just throwing out a number. Like he didn't really mean 800.
I know. I'm saying that's what I'm saying. It's a ludicrous number to put out.
His point.
He's saying that he's one of the best GMs in the league, and he's doing a great job.
That point wasn't him saying he was hitting all his picks. What he was saying is, if he's batting 800, I'm not going to look at the 200, that he got wrong, right?
Yeah.
He said I'm just throwing out a random number, right? He's just basically saying, yes, I'm focusing on the things that he got right, not so much on the things that he got wrong. For now, Yeah,
no, but that's what I think. He's one of the best GMs in the league.
That's
what he said.
Yeah, I don't mind. What's he gonna say? Well, he's average. No,
you don't have to say either. That's the point. You don't have to go out of your way praising him. That's what I'm saying.
I look, if you're keeping him, you want to show him some confidence, right? You're not gonna say, "Hey, the clock is ticking." You're gonna say, "Hey, I believe in you. I think you're one of the best." You're gonna say all those things, right? What's up, E? He says, "I disagree." He also mentioned Ozzie and Brown clearly several times. He said they were helping EDC. EDC gonna be next period. We'll see. If you don't get the job done, we'll see. He mentioned Ozzie. He mentioned Ozzie one time that I remember, and that's when they were talking about is the next coach going to be the same structure? Is the coach going to report directly to Steve Bisciotti, or is he going to report to EDC? And he mentioned Ozzie. He said, "Hey, when we brought in John, Ozzie never said that it was an issue for John to report directly to me. Although he did say if Ozzie did say that was an issue, then he would have changed the structure, right? He just thought that, he said in his mind, he never thought about it. And Ozzie and John never had an issue. He's like, in my mind, it was just the GM and the coach should be on the same page. If they have a disagreement about something, they can't work it out, I'm the tiebreaker. They can come to me." He's like, "But I want my coach to have a voice and not feel like he just has to go along with the general manager says." Now, funny enough, I feel like because John and EDC got close, EDC was just kind of going along with what John said, right? And I kind of took that from what Steve Bisciotti was saying in his press conference too. I feel like he was kind of letting EDC know, like, hey, John didn't have full control over the team. Like he had a voice, you had a voice, and you got to voice your opinion. And if there's conflicting, opinions, then we bring it to the table and I make the final decision. But it seemed like EDC is just going along with what John said, and he's not speaking up and saying anything. So that's a problem too.
Yeah, that's a problem created by the owner.
Yes,
because you can say that all you want, but if the perception from your GM is, this guy has more power, or he has a say in what's supposed to be my job, and you're his best friend, and he's been there for 18 years, you're not going to go against him.
Sure.
That's something that the owner has to look in the mirror about.
No, absolutely. No, I agree. Josh Hoffman says EDC is a little bit of an unknown without Harbaugh. Is Tez Walker a big contributor without Harbaugh? What about Starks and Green without Orr? It's possible, O-line is still a crime, though. Yeah, I think that's going to get taken care of ASAP. Me and B were looking at the free agency list for O-linemen. If they want to fix it, they can fix it. And I don't even think it'll cost that much.
Mm-hmm.
And this is crazy, too. The Browns have, 4 of the starting O-linemen as free agents?
4 starting O-linemen, and then one of their primary backups are all free agents.
Man, listen.
So good luck to whoever takes that job.
That is crazy. There's other O-linemen too. I'm again not saying that they're all pros, but much better than what we have. So if they want to clean up that guard position, that can happen. That can happen in free agency. We don't even have to go into the draft needing a guard. We might. I would still look at tackle pretty high. You know, if we're going to move on from Ronnie Stanley at some point, we got to get the guy to groom him to take that position over.
Yeah.
Who we got here? Alaskan Man says no, loosen up, get rid of that O-line coach. Everybody's gone.
Yeah, the staff is gone.
Yeah.
They're all taking interviews. The Dallas Cowboys asked to interview Zach Orr for their DC position, which I said, he was like, we got a bad thing going. Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah. Oh, he's responding to Mr. Kevin Jermaine. Says, hey, at the end of the day, EDC got the message. He needs to tighten up. Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. Yes, Zach Orr interviewing in Dallas. I'm like, why? Isn't Harbaugh going to bring him with him? He might. He might. But that's one thing I'm looking at. Whatever job Harbaugh has, I want to see if Zach Orr goes with him.
And if I'm hiring John Harbaugh, I'm telling him, no, he's not as a defensive coordinator.
Well, if you're going to meet all of Harbaugh's demands, right? You're going to say, I
all
control the GM.
Alleged demands.
Yeah.
Demands. That came from a Cleveland reporter, and those might have been just the Cleveland demands.
Yeah.
Although the rumor is that the Giants have offered him $20 million a year, so I'd be leaning that way as well if I were Harbaugh.
Oh no, I'm with you. I'd be telling them who else you got in mind?
Like he can come. He can't be the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, linebackers coach. Cool.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, but hey, you stood on that hill over here, right? Are you gonna pound the table and say, I'm not taking any team that's not gonna let me bring my defensive coordinator with me?
You know what though? They do have some edge rushers in New York though. So
they do.
So it might be a different story.
Jose, what's up, Kwame? Says Jose. So the national media was lying about Monken being the reason John Harbaugh was fired. Facts, and we knew that. And speaking of liars, one of the biggest liars was at the press conference. I'm surprised they even let him get a question off. Mike Preston. He asked. I think he asked a question about Mike Tomlin. I wish they would have called him out. Like, hey, you're the one making up all these stories. Like you talk about Lamar and him saying, hey, I don't know where all this stuff is coming from. Well, it's coming from one of the people in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why does he get credentials still? Why aren't you pulling his credentials?
Because
that's the type of thing I don't like. You gotta say, hey, look, he can't come in here. Like he just making things up now. You know, Slicer says EDC's main job is to save Bisciotti money. This organization is cheap. Reason why it's always we came close. I mean, yes,
he can't really save Bisciotti money.
No.
The salary cap is the player's money.
Yeah,
like the only money that Bisciotti really has to put up is for the bonuses. He has to pay that out of pocket immediately, and it goes into escrow and all that for the guaranteed money. I mean, but the money that they pay out is the player's money.
Yeah, I don't think Bisciotti. In fact, I know Bisciotti's not cheap because he mentioned that when he talked about John taking a year off, saying, "Hey, if he gets another job, that helps my pockets." But I told him he should take a year off and go travel. I don't mind paying the $17 million that he's making a year or whatever. So money is not a problem. He has money to throw around. Listen, he's a billionaire. He's got money. Money is not an issue. I think that's just a thing. That's a philosophy that started with Ozzy when you had to really be frugal. The salary cap couldn't be manipulated as much as it is now, and it was just a different league. You had to make right decisions and sign the right people, because signing the wrong person to a long-term deal was that would really hurt your team back then.
Ozzy was just an a-hole about it, though.
Yes, no, he was.
He really was. He was like, that story about Bart Scott. That's terrible.
Just messed up.
Yeah. If you don't know, Bart Scott was an undrafted free agent. Ozzy called him and told him, and the numbers may be off. I forget the exact numbers, but he essentially told him, "Hey, I got $1,000 for you as a signing bonus, right?" And Bart essentially said, "Give me a minute to think about it or whatever." Yeah. And then Ozzy called him back. He's like, "Yo, I got $500 for you."
Yeah. And he was like, "Oh hell, I better take it." That's a jerk move. Like, you got the money, but no, I don't think he's being cheap or anything like that. I just think it's a philosophy with the GMs in terms of how to manage your team, and I think they took it too far, right? Like, to them, it's a game, right? How can we ball on a budget, and make ourselves look smart? It's an ego thing. But I didn't hear any of that in this press conference. I didn't hear him say it one time. This is a mantra I've heard him say every single year. Ozzy and EDC every single year. Right player, right price. Right player, right price. Right player, right price. Every single year I've heard this. I ain't hear it today. Yeah. I heard we need to make a splash.
Mm-hmm.
And right player.
And I'll tell you what. I'll believe that's real if they go out and sign somebody, because at this point, what it feels like to me is just them saying what fans want to hear.
Hey, salute. Hey, no, I hear you on that. I hear you on that for sure. Like, they have right now it's just talk. We gotta see what they actually do. But hey, firing Harbaugh.
Credit where it's due for firing John. That's I didn't think they were going to do that. So
I told you he was going to get fired. I didn't think it'd be like this. I thought it was going to be like Tomlin, where they're like, "Hey, he stepped down or whatever." Right? I thought that's what it was going to be, because Harbaugh looked like he was ready to move on. But Steve said
he said it at one point.
Oh, okay. I missed it then. I missed it. But no, Steve Bisciotti came out saying, "No, I fired him." Mm-hmm. That I didn't see coming. So, and he didn't have to do that. Yeah. But yeah, without Harbaugh, but yeah, we gotta see it happen first. Yeah, we gotta see it for sure. And I feel like they will. Like I said, EDC's job is not safe. Like B said last week, they call John Teflon John. They didn't call EDC Teflon Eric.
No. They call him that bald head dude next to the coach.
Hey, you over there.
It won't take nearly as long to get Eric up out of there if you don't start, if things don't turn around.
Right. So another thing they talked about. Oh, by the way, 150 people in here.
Like Greg Roman.
Ooh.
He got with the other brother with Justin Herbert. And it didn't take very long at all for them to say, "Nah, we don't like this show."
Hey, he also told Greg Roman to take a vacation, don't come back. Mm-hmm. 115 people in here. Hit that like button. If you're new in here, hit that subscribe button. Look, man, we hit 3,000 pretty fast. I know we can hit 4,000 even faster. So help us get there. Also, tomorrow we got the LBHT show, 7:45 p.m. Eastern time. Right after that is our overtime show, which you can find on our Patreon, patreon.com/LBHT show. You can see the pin link in the chat box. That'll take you to our Patreon for as little as $5 a month. And it's right there under B, patreon.com/LBHT show. All right. Also, LBHTshow.com. If you like what we're wearing, I know y'all checking it out. I know you see it. Be More Bleeds Purple. That's what it says. You can get that on the site. Okay, you like that beanie? Because it's cold out there still. Everything is on the site. You like this mug? I know you saw it. I know you guys were looking at it. I know you're looking at it. There you go. All that on the site, LBHTshow.com. Also, you can sign up for our newsletter. I haven't put one out in a minute. I keep saying I'm going to do it. But just, be ready. Be ready. Okay? Go check all that out. You get a lot for your money for that Patreon. So definitely consider that. LBHT Show. Yes, thank you, Danity. That's the newsletter right there for Merchant Newsletter. Yes, but the coaching process. I like that they're taking their time going through all these different candidates, and he said something about narrowing it down to 5 candidates to present to him, so he can kind of give his input, and ultimately he'll make the final decision on it. But yes, he's really pushing EDC and Sashi Brown and Ozzie to vet these guys, and he kind of told them what he's looking for in a coach. He said some of it. He said he really wants to look at the last cycle of coaches that were hot candidates, and just kind of look at how they did. And he said just because they were in bad situations and they didn't necessarily have a winning record doesn't disqualify them. Like if they went someplace and they didn't have, a good team around them, a good quarterback, a good support system.
The Robert Saleh story.
Yep.
So,
yep. Hey, and like Sutton pointed out, shout out to Sutton from Purple Rain Podcast. Hey, they just interviewed Brian Flores today, so maybe that was fresh on their mind.
Mm-hmm. Just
saying. All right. So that's something to look for. Now, they said they're going to take their time. If it could be Robert Saleh, because Robert Saleh is still coaching. If the coach is available now that they like, you don't need to waste time.
They said they're going to finish up this round of interviews he's open by Sunday, Costa said, and then they'll narrow it down to the 4 or 5 guys and kind of go from there as the rules allow, because like you said, some of these guys are still coaching, so you can't really meet with them. And if it does turn out to be like a Robert Saleh or somebody like that who is still coaching, then I don't think that they need to rush and to move off of, because a lot of bad teams do that, right? They say, hey, we want this one guy, but they went deep in the playoffs, so we got to hire our coach, we got to start our process. It's really short-sighted to say, you know what, I want that guy, but he's still coaching, so I'm going to hire this other guy who I thought was not as good because.
No. Yeah, if there's somebody they like that's still coaching, they'll wait. And there's you can do that. We have time, right? It's not like college where it's like, hey, we got to start recruiting now. No, we got time. Their date's set for everything. So the Super Bowl, if they make the Super Bowl, that can play out, and then they can get their coach. The coach has time to get adjusted, meet the players, look at roster and all that stuff, and get ready for free agency and the draft. There's time for all that. So there's no rush there. It's just a rush for us because we want to know right now, right? Mm-hmm. Now, Coach asked us on the Ravens Roundup, right? And we've been talking about this for a while. Give us your 3 coaches that you like to see: head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. What combination of coaches would you like to see?
I already said that Brian Flores would be my head coach. I would like to see them target Al Harris as defensive coordinator. I think he probably is ready to move up. Offensive coordinator, it kind of really depends when you get to that, because like the first guy that pops in mind would be Mike McDaniel, but he may get a head coaching job. Yeah, so you never know there, right? So it's kind of tough to say on the offensive coordinator. But if we're saying, hey, ideally, then it would be Flores, Harris, McDaniel.
Okay, I said something similar. I said Flores, McDaniel. I didn't really give a name for defensive coordinator. I just said, hey, whoever Flores wants to bring up, it could be a D-line coach that he works with now, somebody that he can kind of groom into that position, right? Because Flores is still going to oversee the defense. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really need somebody that's established. There's somebody that's going to echo his voice, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I like about Al Harris. Bring him in because, hey, you want to force the turnovers, right? Yeah. You've invested heavily in that secondary, and Al Harris gets his guys to intercept the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you all think that phone call went the way Bisciotti said? Oh, with Harbaugh? Yeah, I think so. Like, you guys gotta understand something. Like, first of all, 18 years is a long time, right? I truly believe they are friends. I truly believe it was tough, and I truly believe there are zero hard feelings. Like when this is something different from like when coaches get fired, GMs get fired. That's not the same as you and I getting fired,
right? Hey, because yes, I don't have any hard feelings toward the guy who made me a multimillionaire.
I mean, think about
I
what
really
he
don't.
said. Think about it. Right, a multimillionaire, and he's saying, "Hey, man, if you don't want to coach, I mean, his contract's guaranteed, but they're just talking about, hey, like, man, take the year off. Like, I'm paying you anyway. I'm paying you for 3 more years.
Mm-hmm.
Take a year off. You know, you're 63 or 64 years old. Go travel, have some fun, and then come back and do coaching. You can have those conversations because you're making $17 million a year, and your life, your family are set for generations." Yeah. Right? That's not the same as you and I getting fired. We get fired, we have to find another job ASAP,
right,
to pay these bills. So that's a much easier conversation. Yeah, it hurt in terms of, yeah, he's my friend, and I feel a little weird about firing him, but
and he's going to walk into whatever head coaching job he wants. It's not like I bet it was much more difficult firing Greg Roman because Greg Roman can't get an offensive coordinator job.
Right, but he'll still have a job.
He'll have a job, but he can't get an offensive coordinator job unless it's one of the Harbaughs or one of the Harbaugh's people that's giving it to him. So, if you're Jim Harbaugh, you're like, it's kind of the end of the road, Greg.
But you know what? He's made millions of dollars too. I don't feel bad for him either.
He has. I'm just saying it's more difficult because he's not going to bounce back like John is.
Yeah.
Unless maybe that's his offensive coordinator.
Oh, what if it is? What if he called John's like, hey, do you want Greg back?
Like, hey, man, got some good news and bad news.
What if he went back to John? Because he didn't get fired, right?
Bad news is we only scored 6 points in our playoff game, but the good news is your favorite offensive coordinator is available again.
Did Ray Roman get fired?
Yeah. Oh, in Baltimore? Yeah, he got fired. Well, no. In Baltimore, he didn't get fired. Baltimore, they just let his contract run out.
Yeah,
they just didn't bring him back. He got fired yesterday.
That's what I'm saying. He could go back to the other Harbaugh. Look, I'll say this about the Harbaughs: they are the most loyal family I've ever seen.
Yeah, they are.
And I respect that. He says he asked him, did he want to come back to the office? Harbs told him to tell him over the phone it's okay. He was fine with it. No, that's not what happened. He said that he didn't want to call him to come back to the office just to tell him something over the phone. What he said he was okay with was firing him. He said he got emotional when he called him and was telling him that he was fired, and Harbaugh told him, hey, you don't owe me anything. Like, you don't have to apologize or anything like that. Like, you gave me 18 years. Like, I'm good, And I think that's real. I think that part was genuine.
Yeah. Roll MVP says head coach Minter and OC T Martin. So you just want to say keep them Harbaugh times rolling.
T Martin, T Martin might be a good offensive coordinator. I don't know, but go prove it somewhere else first. Yeah. I want. Yeah. No. Because Minter, there's some if he got the job, okay, but I will want to see a strong offensive coordinator there, right? Somebody that we know is an offensive guy. T Martin isn't, we don't know anything about T Martin. He was just a quarterbacks coach. You know what I mean? And he doesn't come from one of those high pedigree coaching trees where you're saying, okay, like the we talked about him on Ravens Roundup 2. I forget his name. The QB coach / pass game coordinator
for the Rams.
Yeah,
Shield House or whatever.
Shield House. Yeah, Shield House. Somebody like him where it's like, okay, everybody that coaches under McVay makes it work, makes it happen, and you feel comfortable. Fortunately for T Martin, he might have that offensive mind, but he didn't come from that same pedigree. So there's questions there, and I don't want to risk it.
No. And the other part is if you're coming in and you're going to be the coordinator for Lamar, it's probably going to work out regardless. and you might find yourself stuck with a guy who's not really good at his job, but they put up points because you have Lamar Jackson, which is what happened with Greg Roman, right? And the same thing that just happened with Greg Roman again, because you have these great quarterbacks, you have the talent on the offense, and they put up points in the regular season, and then you get to the playoffs and you get soundly outcoached, and then you're like, oh, that was weird. Our offense didn't really show up this week, and then you go into the next season. Good offense, you get to the playoffs, you get destroyed again, and you're like, it's weird. It's starting to be a trend that we get to the playoffs and we can't move the ball.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Living Legend? Salute. Thanks for coming through.
Legend.
Appreciate you coming through, man. Jonathan Washington says, does Flores go through 3 to 4 OCs during his time in Miami? Is it worrisome to you? If hired as head coach, do we have faith he would bring in the right guys at coordinator? That's a fair question. That's a fair question. You got to question all these things, right? And figure out, okay, one, for any former head coaches that are looking to come back around this time, like we interviewed Matt Nagy, and Matt Nagy had talked about how he took input from the people he worked with, former players and whatnot, on took all the criticism to see what he can change. Coaches can reinvent themselves, right? And if Flores says that's one of the things that I could have done better, okay, you ask him, well, who's your plan at offensive coordinator? And they talked about that too. Like, we'll talk about what the coaches staff that they plan on bringing in. So, hear what he says. That's part of it too. If he's saying, hey, Greg Roman's available, yeah, okay, well, all right, that's strike one. Let's try that question again.
Well, it also depends on who's making that decision. Like, I don't know that Brian Flores handpicked those guys, right? It was Chad O'Shea, who I don't know where he is now. Chan Gailey, who was a blast from the past, and yes. I tend to think that had more to do with some other people in the organization, and then George Godsey, and then an interim offensive coordinator. So I mean, it depends on like who actually made those decisions, right?
Yeah.
But like I said a minute ago, the offensive coordinator hire is not something that I'm super concerned about. The offense in Baltimore is going to be good because of Lamar Jackson, because of Derrick Henry, and if you just go and get a couple of old linemen, even in the playoffs, it won't matter who the offensive coordinator is. If you have the requisite talent on offense, those guys will just go get it done. And I always point back to Carolina with Mike Shula, awful offensive coordinator, but coordinated the best offense in the NFL in 2015, and an offense that went to the playoffs and put up a lot of points until they ran into Denver. If you got the guys on offense, they'll go and get it done.
Yes. The biggest thing, I mean, we don't want just a trash coordinator. You want a good. But the biggest thing, like we said, protect your quarterback, and you need a head coach that knows good situational football. And that's something to really consider with these coaches, including Brian Flores. Is he going to make the right calls in crunch time situations? Does he have good clock management? Right? Because we talked about Matt LaFleur, and the big issue with Matt LaFleur is clock management, right? Game management. Like, why is your team choking in these situations where it looks like you're going to walk away with the win? Other than that, he's an excellent coach. Yeah. But it's those things, those little nuances. That's why John Harbaugh's out of here, because he just could never get over those things. He couldn't get out of his own head. But yeah, we had a lot of good, highs, even, these last few years with Lamar, with the offense, and we did not have great offensive coordinators here. So you're right about that. But yeah, all these things are things to consider when talking to the next head coach. But you gotta really pick their brains, and that's why they spend hours with these coaches when they do like the
so there's all day meetings. Yeah, like they spend the entire day with them just talking. Yeah. But yeah, you saw the offense got going last year in the playoffs with Todd Monk, and Todd Monk is not a great coordinator.
No, I don't think he's terrible, but
no, I don't think he's a terrible coordinator, but he's not a great coordinator. Like, he's a guy. He had never coordinated a top 10 offense before he got to Baltimore.
True.
But you give him Lamar Jackson, you give him Derrick Henry, and he's like, yeah, I'll throw something together. we'll put the points up.
All right, here's what you do: hand the ball to Derrick Henry, okay?
Right.
And make a hole for him.
and the reason he's not a great coordinator is because that sentence needed to be: here's what you do: hand the ball to Derrick Henry and don't throw it to Mark. Then you're a great coordinator. But he's just all right.
Yeah. All right. A couple more comments and we're getting up out of here because we'll be here early in the morning tomorrow. Killer says if they didn't run into an all-time defense, they would have won.
Yeah, I know. Carry that bum-ass Peyton Manning into a second Super Bowl. Disgusting.
Well, that and I mean, listen, man, like that paper house fell down, right? Like Cam was not surrounded with good talent, even though they try to pull a lot of those guys in the Pro Bowl and make it seem like he had all his talent around him.
Yeah,
he didn't.
No,
he didn't. So that sucked. And then they didn't do anything with the first round draft pick the next year.
Oh, sure
that
they
didn't
did.
help either.
Sure they did. They got a backup defensive tackle, not named Chris Jones, instead of Derrick Henry.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Still 100 people in here. Hit that like button on your way out. Also subscribe if you have not yet subscribed. Turn your notification bells on because we go live early. Myself and Hendo right here on this channel, 6:15 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. All right. What are you shaking your head at?
No Falcon fan. Ted Ginn was not average. He was not average at all. Well below it, in fact.
Ted Ginn was one of those people that could fool you because he had amazing speed, and when he was open, my guy, he was open. And if he caught the ball, you're like, oh man, he can do that every game. But then the next game, he'll drop the ball. Okay. And 2015, I even told B that year, I said, man, Ted Ginn is like 3 or 4 drops away from being all pro. It just at the top a lot of these for yards and touchdowns because he was open so many times and just dropped the ball. Right? He could have easily had four more touchdowns that year. Easily.
Yeah.
Kwame says, big Teddy Ginn fan here. He gave y'all 10 touchdowns, though. He could have easily had 15, 16 touchdowns.
Yeah, he gave him 10 touchdowns because they didn't have anybody else to throw the ball to.
We watched every single Panthers game that year. Every single Panthers game. I told you, I was like, man, he could have 1,600 yards and like 15, 16 touchdowns if he just hold on to the ball. Oh, Ohio State legend. Kwame said he raced him in high school. Did you win?
He ain't win. Come on.
Kwame, do the right thing here. Lie to us, okay? We weren't there. Just say you beat him. Just say I smoked him. Dropped again.
Dropped again. Dropped it again. but here's the thing: like, he went to Carolina, right? This is before the Super Bowl year. He went to Carolina, and he had a almost a career year. 556 yards, 5 touchdowns. It's one of the better years of his career. And then said, you know what? I'm gonna go make me some money. Went into free agency, got signed by Arizona, and he had 190 yards and 0 touchdowns and had to come back to Carolina the next year.
Yeah.
That's when he had the 10 touchdowns and the 700 yards.
He said he was a corner for a reason. Oh, he was a corner in high school? Dang. He might have played. Well, no, he couldn't play. He couldn't play corner in the NFL. He'd be like Nate Wiggins. First tackle he make. Coach, I need a sub. That move to Arizona was so dumb. No, hey, look, you go where the money is, man.
He didn't even make that much though. He just went. It was like. I mean, it was a long time ago at this point, but it was like $3 million a year or something like that. They paid him.
Oh, well, maybe that was a dumb move. You might be right about that, Kwame. All right, we getting out of here for real. All right, tomorrow, 6:15 a.m. is the first show, myself and Hendo. 7:45 p.m. Eastern time for the LBHT show. And then right after that is the overtime show on our Patreon. Patreon.com/LBHT show. Look, I know you got $5 in your pocket. I know you do. All right. Sign up. It's well worth it. It's well worth it. All right. And we're going to have some guests on the overtime show as well. So it's going to be a very fun conversation. So go check it out. All right. B, are you ready?
I am ready.
You going to put you do. Because last time I did the outro, I ended up doing the intro. All right. All right. Y'all have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow. Peace.